Smoke rose over Rouen marketplace on May 30th, 1431. A 19-year-old girl, Joan, stood tied to a stake. The crowd called her a heretic, a witch, a liar. She wore men's clothes and claimed God spoke to her. For the English and their French allies, her death was political necessity. Joan's victories had to be discredited as devil's work, not God's. We remember Joan as a saint in armor, but the real girl was more complex, stubborn, afraid, and brave. To understand her, we must look past the legends to the world she lived in: war, faith, and brutal politics. Joan was a peasant, illiterate, shaped by the suffering of the 100 Years' War. English armies occupied the north. The French were divided and desperate. Her faith was common, but her conviction that God chose her was not. In her final moments, she asked for a cross. An English soldier tied 2 sticks together and handed it to her. As flames rose, she did not curse her enemies or recant. The crowd heard her cry out one name, again and again: Jesus! Her voice was silenced by fire, but her legend endured. Joan's story is not just about miracles, it's about a teenager who changed history and paid the ultimate price. She was not just a symbol, but a real girl from a small village. Her courage and conviction would echo long after the flames died. The world would never forget the girl in the flames. Joan was born around 1412 in Domremy, a small village on the edge of war-torn France. Her father was a farmer, her mother a devout woman. Joan's world was simple: spinning wool, church bells, and the constant threat of soldiers. The 100 Years' War was a daily danger for ordinary people. Joan was deeply religious, praying in the fields and attending church often. At 13, she began hearing voices and seeing visions. A bright light, a message to be good. The voices grew urgent, giving her a mission: save France. She identified her guides as Saint Michael, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret. They told her to drive out the English and lead the Dauphin Charles to his coronation. For years, Joan kept her visions secret, fearing disbelief. But the voices persisted, urging her to seek out Robert de Baudricourt for an escort to the Dauphin. She was rejected, mocked, and sent home, but she refused to give up. Joan's certainty was unshakable. She returned, and this time, people listened. Her impossible journey was about to begin. Joan's faith and stubbornness set her apart. She was convinced she was chosen for something extraordinary. The world would soon see if she was right. The girl from Domremy was ready to change history. In February 1429, Joan convinced Robert de Baudricourt to give her a horse and an escort. She cut her hair, dressed as a man, and traveled over 300 miles through enemy territory to Chinon. News of the peasant girl on a divine mission spread quickly. At court, the Dauphin Charles tested her by disguising himself, but Joan recognized him instantly. She declared her mission: lift the siege of Orléans and see Charles crowned at Reims. Charles was cautious, sending her to be examined by theologians at Poitiers. For weeks they questioned her, searching for heresy. Joan answered simply and honestly, insisting her proof would be seen at Orléans. The theologians found no fault and advised Charles to trust her. With church approval, Joan received armor, a banner, and command of an army. She wasn't a strategist, but her faith inspired the demoralized soldiers. With Joan at their head, the French marched to Orléans. Hope returned to France. The Maid was ready to lead. Her journey from village girl to military leader was complete. The fate of a nation rested on her shoulders. The miracle was about to begin. Joan's arrival at Orléans in April 1429 changed everything. The French, hesitant and beaten down, found new courage in her presence. Within 9 days, the English siege was broken. A miraculous victory. Joan became the Maid of Orléans, a symbol of hope. Her fame soared as she led more victories in the Loire Valley. She insisted Charles must be crowned at Reims, deep in enemy territory. Despite the risks, her momentum was unstoppable. Towns opened their gates. The march to Reims became a triumph. On July 17, 1429, Charles VII was crowned, Joan by his side. She had fulfilled her mission, restoring the monarchy's legitimacy. But her success made her dangerous to both English and French powers. After the coronation, the king's court hesitated. Joan wanted to press on, but was overruled. An attack on Paris failed, and Joan was wounded. Her aura of invincibility faded. In May 1430, she was captured outside Compiègne by Burgundian soldiers. The king made no effort to save her. Joan was sold to the English. Her fate was sealed. The English put Joan on trial for heresy in Rouen. The trial was a political show, led by Bishop Pierre Cauchon. They needed to prove her voices were from the devil, not God. Joan, an illiterate peasant, faced learned theologians who tried to trap her. She answered with honesty and wit, frustrating her accusers. The main charges, heresy and cross-dressing. For Joan, men's clothes were practical and symbolic. For her judges, they were proof of defiance. Worn down by threats and imprisonment, Joan signed a confession. But days later, she was found in men's clothes again. Whether by force or choice, we may never know. She was condemned as a relapsed heretic. On May 30th, 1431, Joan was burned at the stake. Her ashes were thrown into the Seine, but her story did not end. Years later, a retrial declared her innocent and a martyr. Over centuries, she became a symbol of French pride. In 1920, the church made her a saint. Today, Joan of Arc is remembered as a hero of faith and courage. Her conviction changed history, and her legend endures.
We hope you enjoyed learning with us. If you have thoughts, questions, or your own theory to share, drop a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video on history, science, fascinating facts, and more.